Hello everybody, welcome to our 24-hour reading challenge. Pardon the appearance. It is 8 in the morning and I'm trying to slowly wake up and prep myself to read. We are going to start off with The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I'm in my bed. I'm a little snotty because it's been atrocious outside, but it is the perfect day to do this because it's rainy and it's gloomy, so just sitting and reading is gonna be amazing. I have like some rain ambiance on my TV. I've got my dog. We've got our timer. Same rules as last time. I am gonna pause it whenever I make dinner, make lunch, whatever. I'm not gonna read like 24 hours straight because that would be crazy. Yeah. So let's do it. It's really nothing of importance, but I think it's interesting that none of the girls know each other's name. They're all 2, 4, 6, 1, 5. Like, they've been together for so many years, but they only know each other by numbers. I think that's cool. Okay, I expected them to drop the blood in the water, not have her drink the blood. Did not think she was gonna drown. Thought it was gonna be like she just dunked her head in the water and had a vision. Did not think she was just gonna fully drown. Okay, catch up time. So I'm on chapter 17. That's a little bright. I'm on chapter 17 now. Some things. Okay, let's go back. Okay, the first thing I wanted to note is on page 164. What's the king's name? What did I just forget? Benji. Benji. Hello, baby. Sorry. Benji is telling Sybil basically the truth. So everything that his grandfather found out when he was king is that all of the gods or the omens are not actually gods. They are just mortals. What, baby? They're just mortals that were given gifts of magic. So he's telling all of this to Sybil, and he mentions, he became obsessed with the history of Aisling, which in time led him upon a personal pilgrimage to see if omens did in fact walk among us. Let me guess, he found one. Not at first, Benji grinned. He found Rory. My brows rose. Mendacious? Good old Rory. Benji said it plainly. He's a foundling. I thought this was going to happen. I thought something was going to be special with Rory outside of the fact that he is just a knight. So I feel good that I called this because I thought something like this was going to happen. Oh my god. Sorry. Okay. Next. Page 167. Again, we're still talking about what Grandpa found and the truth and everything about the omens not really being omens. So he says, the water, he paused, his voice quieted by wonder. It does something to the omens, their bodies, maybe even their minds. What's been done to us? I shoved the king's notebook back at him. I've been drinking that water since I was a girl. All diviners drink it. What's going to happen? I can't be certain, but artful brigand and the faithful forester and the harried scribe were in some part made of stone. You're saying I'm going to turn to stone? I think that's what's wrong with her eyes, or their eyes, because whenever one took off her shroud, and she finally looked in the mirror, she was saying, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Like, what did they do to us? I think it's the eyes, because that's how you know who the omens are, is that they have stone eyes. I think that's what's gonna be up with the diviners. And I think that's why Abbas made them wear the shrouds, is because it turns their eyes to stone like it did the omens. And that's what she wanted to cover. What is it, baby? Okay, next page, 171. Okay, this part I just thought was funny. This is after she leaves Benji's room and she's thinking about everything. You know, her entire world has been flipped upside down. And she tells Maud to find a room for Bartholomew to sleep in. I know his name is not Bartholomew, but I'm calling him Bartholomew because I feel bad just saying gargoyle. So she asks Maud, will you find a quiet room for him and put a blanket over his head? He's liable to break something if he doesn't get at least 8 hours of sleep. I thought that was just funny, and another little tidbit of our man Bartholomew. Oh, okay, this part I also thought was funny. And it's just more about Rory and getting more of his, not love, but his admiration and his care for Sybil. She's talking with Hamlin after going on a walk and thinking about everything that she talked about. She runs into him. This is the guy who she tried to sleep with on their night out, and then she ended up not. So she's talking with him. And Rory comes up to them and says, Hamlin, you and Rothspar are up next. Hamlin goes, I'm talking. Rory goes, not anymore. Put your fucking helmet on. Period. Okay? Protect your girl. That is your girl. Okay, this part, page 193. They're on their way to the next hamlet, the next town, and they come across a mountain sprite. It reminds me exactly of this scene from The Hobbit when they come across the storm giants. Just had to put that out there. That's what I thought of when reading this scene. Another part that I loved from Bartholomew or Gargoyle. Rory basically defends her in front of everybody in this new town who is not really liking Benji. And he says something of like, where is it? Attempt to look beneath her shroud and she and the gargoyle will respond as they see fit with full immunity to any carnage tended. The gargoyle batted his eyes. Oh, Bartholomew, he's dreamy. And that's where we are right now. We are about halfway on chapter 17, page 211. They just spotted, so they're going after the oarmen. I don't know if I've explained this, but they're basically going to defeat all of the omens. There's 5 omens. There's the inkwell, the coin, the oar, the forest, and the weaver. So they're going to defeat all of these omens or these gods, basically just the mortals who have been given the gifts, and rebuild and regain the trust, because they're just taking money and taking children for the diviners. So Benji, Rory, Maud, and Sybil's plan is to go one by one and kill the omens, take their omen, their thing, for themselves and use that power for something. We don't know what that for something is, but they've already defeated the coin guy, the inkwell guy, and Grandpa long ago defeated the forest lady. So there's only 2, and then technically a 6th one with the abbess from the cathedral, but she's like an unofficial 6th omen. So let's keep reading. We have made it to chapter 11, but I have some things to talk about, or some things that I wanted to talk about. So, okay, firstly, this I thought was interesting just from what we know about the diviners, what we know about Rory, what we know about Sybil. Like, she gave us her name, but she hasn't told anybody else but us her name. So I'm just gonna call her Sybil, because calling her 6, I don't like it. So this is page 71, when they're on their night out, they're having fun with the knights. I thought this part was interesting. So the king is having this like challenge with Rory, having the diviners see if they can knock him down. A little challenge. King Castor's fingers slightly wobbled, pointed once more. The pretty one. Rory's eyes flitted to me, but the king's fingers, the knighthood's collective gaze, was trained on 4. I thought that was so fun, because even though there's really nothing happening right now, you can still tell that there's an infatuation between Rory and Sybil. And the fact that when the king says the pretty one, Rory looks at Sybil. Also thought it was crazy that Ford just like fully kissed Rory on the mouth without even knowing that man. This is page 87. This is when Sybil goes to the abbess. I've been saying abbess. To talk about the fact that I think at this point 2 of them are missing. 2 of the diviners have disappeared, and she goes to talk to the abbess about the fact that they are gone, and about this dream that she had when Rory came to get his divination. Okay, this is the part that I thought was interesting with 87, is we've been told that there's something between the abbess and Sybil, of something with Sybil is special. And we get this from this paragraph. I'd been in this room only once before. I'd been a girl, and the abbess had handed me a hammer and a chisel with all the tenderness of a mother giving her child a gift. I always bestow these upon my best diviner, she said, pressing a hand to my cheek. See what you make of them, or what they make of you. I thought that part was interesting, because it's very cryptic, but it also plays into the amount that we have seen that Sybil is the abbess's favorite. Ooh, this part, okay. So this is page 97. At this point, it is just One and Sybil that are left. Everybody else has disappeared, and they're making promises to each other. They're like, you know what, F this, I'm tired of it. At least one is saying this. So she takes off her shroud, the thing covering their eyes, because she's like, it hasn't helped any of the other girls from being taken. I've been waiting to do this for years. I'm just gonna do it. When One's fell, silent as it hit the floor, I turned my gaze to the wall. Her gasp filled the room, soft, quiet horror. What's happened to us? My voice shook. What do you see? One did not answer when she returned to the mattress. She was wearing her shroud once more. She did not say what she'd seen in the looking glass, and I was too afraid to ask again. Okay, I have a slight theory on this. We still don't know, because Sybil has still yet to take off her shroud, but I'm wondering if something is wrong with their eyes because of, one, the fact that they're drowning, like how many times they're drowning to dream, or something with the fact of the dream itself, like seeing the omens and this pain that they take on their body. So I'm wondering if something is wrong with their eyes or around their eyes, because they can kind of see, and I mean the knights have seen them, and there's nothing been said about like permanent marks on their bodies, like no scars, no bruises, nothing. So I'm wondering if it's something to do with their eyes. Page 104, this is when Rory is coming to save Sybil. So the night before, Sybil went to the king to go try and ask him, like, hey, my sisters are disappearing. Do you know anything? He wasn't there. She came back. One disappeared. Now we're on the next night where it's just Sybil. Rory shows up to save her, and we're unsure of how he's getting in and how he's getting out because the windows are barred, the doors are locked. Page 104, here we go. He bit the inside of his cheek, glanced at the door, then reached into his pocket. We're going to disappear for about 3 seconds, and in that time we'll be able to pass through the door. Curiosity sated. Not by half. How? Rory snatched my hand, threw something from his pocket in the air. Move. There was a whirring sound, something small and circular passing over my head and through the door. Then Rory and I were moving after it. I winced, bracing to collide with the wood, but my body was nothing. And I didn't feel a thing as I passed through the door, out of the cottage, into the night. I've read a little bit more, so I know what this is now, but I think it's interesting that there is a little bit more magic than we figured with just the dreaming elements. Like, other people can have magic, not just the diviners. Obviously, we don't know. I don't know yet why Rory has magic or what this thing is and why it has magic. I just know it's a coin right now. But we'll see. Page 107, they got caught trying to sneak out, and the abbess and the other gargoyles are trying to convince Sybil to stay, and Sybil's fighting back, obviously, or arguing back. They're not really fighting. Anyways, 107. Stay, I will take care of you. Just as you took care of the others. A desolate frost touched the abbess's voice, but I did take care of them. I made them special. They tried to be so worthy of it, but they remained so human. But never you, 6. But never you, 6, stalwart, uncomplaining. You have ever been the perfect diviner, until quite recently. So I wonder if this, like, if the abbess means that she made these kids special by making them diviners because they come from the changeling school and then they become diviners. I don't know. Or if if the abbess has taken them and tried to do something with them, which is why they've disappeared. I don't know which theory I'm leaning towards, but I feel like the abbess has something to do with the fact that the diviners are disappearing or have disappeared because they're all gone except Sybil now. But I'm on chapter 11, The Harried Scribe. Also, how perfect is this bookmark for this book? This is what I imagine the shroud is looking like over their eyes. Shout out to my mom for getting me this book and this bookmark. But we're on page 131 out of like 400 or something. Chapter 11. We have 20 hours. Damn, so I've only been reading for 4 hours. Damn. Yeah, we'll probably finish this book and be able to start, not City of Bones or City of Ashes, City of Glass. Yep. Yeah, we'll probably be able to read too. Oh, also, I'm loving the gargoyle. I'm calling him Bartholomew because he doesn't have a name, but he calls everybody else Bartholomew. But I love him. That's all I have for now. I'll check back in a couple chapters. Okay, this is not the check-in that I was gonna do. I have so many other pages. But I think page 250 is about to make me fucking sob. So let's read it. So, she just fought. Sybil just fought the Orman, and she fell in the water. And Gargoyle is sobbing. Bartholomew always wakes. Why doesn't she wake? A woman's voice sounded. Rory. No, there was more pressure, a pounding sensation over my chest so violent the world quaked. Wake up, sweetheart, wake up. Okay. So we're gonna back up from the absolute tantrum you guys just saw me throw. We're gonna back up a couple pages because I have some things I want to talk to you guys about. Quick check-in. We're on chapter 23. Page 283, so we're getting close to the end, which is great. Which is really great. I'm not ready for it to be over. Anyways. Page 231. So this is right before her fight with the Orman. The Orman. Because he has an oar, but he's called an Omen. But he's the Omen, whatever. So they are prepping her. They have 3 days of training before she has to go fight the Orman, because it was going to do what they normally do and have Rory and Maud and Benji go fight. But because Sybil is the one who wants her question answered, the Orman said, "You're going to fight me yourself, girl." So they're training her, and it's not looking too good. And everyone is a little hesitant, except Rory. He has full confidence in our girl. But Sybil wakes up, hears them talking outside her room, and Maud says something that sticks with her during her fight. So just listen. It was only when I thought of what Maud had said, though she kept silent now, that I erred. When my foot slipped on the stairs, when I dropped the coin or oh, sorry, this is not when she's fighting. This is when she's training. LOL, my bad. Anyway, when my foot slipped on the stairs, when I dropped the coin or missed its target, Maud and the words she dealt. She will die without ever having lived. That shit hit me, because that's actually so factual. Like, if she does not make it through this fight with the Orman, all she will ever have known is the cathedral, and then the absolute terrors that is the Omens. Like, she will not know anything different, which I think is egregious to think about. Anyways, page 237. This is right before the fight as well. Rory can tell that she's a little bit stressed. He takes her to a hot spring to ease her aching muscles, but also put in a little bit of that charm, and it works so freaking well. Where is it? This was a part that really got me, because it's showing that, for me at least, one, it's romantic and it's adorable, and two, it's really showing that Sybil is finding her way. She is finding more than the cathedral, more than the diviners. So she says, errant knight, Roderick Mendacious. Again, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. Anyways, errant knight, Roderick Mendacious, prideful, disdainful, godless. He believed in me. Now, I think that is important to note, especially after what Maud said. Like, Maud believes in her but has some doubt, but she feels comfort in the fact that Rory is 100% behind her. And I think there's something special about that. Page 247. They are literally about to walk into the castle to go fight the Orman. And the gargoyle, as I'm calling him, Bartholomew, I know that's not his name, I don't care, has become the squire for Sybil for the time being. And he is giving her armor and everything, and he says this. In his hands resting in the beds of his palms, my hammer and chisel. It is important for a squire to carry his knight's weapons, he said, the words so stoic I wondered if he practiced them on the flight back. I will carry them for you, Bartholomew. I will shoulder any weight you give me. Oh, I thought, a great swelling in my heart, to be a gargoyle, to be my gargoyle. I think that is so true to who Bartholomew is. And not only just him in general, but him specifically with Sybil, because we get glimpses when Sybil is talking about leaving and talking about when her 10 years are up, or when Rory came to get her. We see that Bartholomew is essentially heartbroken at seeing different diviners come in, spend 10 years and then leaves, because he grows attached to them. And he specifically grew attached to Sybil, and I just think it's really beautiful. But that even though he is this sprite and he is supposed to be unbound and loyal to the cathedral, that he really just cares about his friend, and he wants to see her succeed, and he wants to be there for her. I just think that's gorgeous. Oh, this one, it made me gag, and not in a good way. It's page 251. She is fighting the Orman. She's struggling. She's wearing Maud's armor because her armor is not yet ready, but they can't send her out there in just leathers and a tunic. She'll fucking die. So she's in Maud's armor. It's her first time fighting with armor. It's her first time really fighting. She's kind of getting the upper hand every now and then, but the Orman gets her. He was gasping, ripping away my pauldron and exposing my shoulder, the curve of my neck. You disgust me. He sank his teeth into my skin. I screamed. Out on the shore, four figures were a dark blur, a mess of limbs, tangling, struggling, not against the storm, but one another. Benji holding back the gargoyle, Maud holding back Rory. Yes, his tongue ran over the bite in my neck, lapping up the blood. You swallowed so much of Ainsling's water. Then the other one, I can practically taste the spring. Alright, what the fuck does he mean, the other one? I know what he means. Let me get there really quickly. So, we saw this when she fought against the scribe, the inkwell guy. The first one that we saw them come across. He bit her lip and took the blood from her lip. He drank it, and he was trying to go after more. And he said something about tasting the water. Hear me out. I think this has something to do with the fact that they literally freaking drown in the water and drink it. And this is going to have something to do with why their eyes are covered, and why when number one took off her shroud, she was scared, and why when the omens drink it, they become stone. Listen to me. So, all of the diviners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that she has spent 258 pages right now. looking for, come to find out they're all dead. And every diviner prior is dead because they just get 10 years. It's not that they just get 10 years in the cathedral. No. They get their 10 years in the cathedral and then they are shipped off either to just the Orman or to the other omens to be drank and drained of blood. Because, can we remember why? The water from the spring is what keeps the omens living forever. Right? Right? The diviners drink the water when they drown. So when the omens drink the blood, they get the water. And I think that is genuinely just crazy. And I was shocked. Okay, page 258. This is where you guys saw me crash out maybe like 10 minutes ago. She wakes up. So she defeated him. She was thrust into the river, and of course everybody went in after her. And this is why you guys saw me tear up. And I already read it to you, but I'm gonna read it to you again. The gargoyle, Bartholomew, starts sobbing. Bartholomew always wakes. Why doesn't she wake? No, there was more pressure, a pounding sensation over my chest, so violent the world quaked. Wake up, sweetheart, wake up. That was Rory waking up his girl. Yeah, that was him saving his girl. And that made me sob. Is it because I'm on my period? Is it because it's a good book? Guess we'll never know. But yeah, just thought I should check in with you guys. We're on chapter 23, page 283 out of 400. So we're almost done. I think we have like 17 hours left of the challenge to go, so we still have time for another book. Yeah. Okay, friends, we have finished it. Yeah, we finished it. But let's go through what I still need to talk to you guys about, okay? I'm not doing well, if you can tell. Okay, so first, we need to talk about page 326. So they are, I don't remember where they are, like what hamlet they're in technically, but they're about to go fight the last omen, the Heart Store Weaver. And they had a little bit of a scare in the night. The Heart Store Weaver showed up and then disappeared. So they're kind of all on edge. And the next morning, Sybil wakes up and Bartholomew is gone, is nowhere to be seen. She runs out to a cliff. She ends up finding him. I just thought this was a cute interaction between them two. She finds him and she runs up. Oh, you stupid gargoyle. Why did you not say anything? He blinked. Are you crying, Bartholomew? Of course I am, you dingbat. I just thought that was funny. It's on the next page. It's on page 327. I thought this was a perfect moment of going from Six to Sybil and fully getting rid of anything to do with the diviners and really just the omens at all. Sybil takes off her shroud and in the wind lets it go off of a cliff, and when she turns around there's Maud and Rory and Bartholomew waiting behind her with smiles, and I thought that was just such a touching moment. Okay, this is page 333. This is still before fighting the last omen. They're on their way. Sorry, it is 11:59. It is almost midnight on the dot. We finished this in one day, ladies and gents. I don't know who's watching. They're on their way to go defeat this Heart Store Weaver. Yes, they're on the way to go defeat the Heart Store Weaver, and they're having a conversation with Benji. Reminder, Benji's the king. So Sybil and Benji are having a conversation, and it's going a little bit weird. He's very concerned about where Sybil is gonna go once they're done, and he's like, I want you to come be with me. Like, you always have a place with me. You're fine, whatever. And then Sybil says, what if I still wish to find my future away from Castle Lyric? That's where he's at. That's his castle. Benji met my gaze, smiled. Then, of course, I will let you go. He bowed, then turned down the corridor. I watched him walk away, something cold chafing inside me. Now, this is strange because every depiction of Benji we have gotten up until now has been the boy king. He's 17. His grandfather died when he was 6. He was brought up by Moth. He was chosen by the knights. Like, he is very uncomfortable in his own skin. He's very nervous. He has Rory and Moth to help him converse with the hamlets, and he has to drink a little bit of beer or a little bit of wine when he's talking with Sybil to really be himself. So this version of him that is so concerned with where Sybil's going to go afterwards and saying, of course, I'll let you go, it is the opposite of who we've come to know him as. And when I read this, I was a little taken aback because even I was like, that's weird. Like, that's not... This is a king who has told his knights and ultimately his diviner, oh, call me Benji. Don't call me King, whatever his last name is. Don't call me Benedict. Just call me Benji. Everybody calls me Benji. And yet you're sitting here going, oh yeah, I'll let you go. I don't trust that, sir. This is page 351. They are now in the Weaver's cabin kind of area. It's just Sybil right now. And she's talking with the Heart Weaver. It's not a challenge like the other ones have been. It's not, they've walked in and, oh, we're here to challenge you for this and to take up the mantle. This is more of just a conversation with the Heartstone Weaver, I think. I'm just gonna call her the Weaver. This is more of a conversation. And she's less human-like than the others. All the others were more stone. You could tell something was different with them, but it was more so in their eyes or in little bits of their skin that just looked stonish. She is said to have... Where is it? Okay. She looked like one of Ainsley's Cathedral's gargoyles, hewn entirely of limestone. She had wings tucked against jagged shoulder blades, a head like a goat with gnarled 4-digit paws for hands and hooves for feet, her eyes wide and pallid. So she is vastly different than any of the other omens or sprites or things that we have come across. But she's talking with Sybil, and when Sybil gets down into her cave, she finds one's body. Reminder, one is the last diviner to have gone missing before Sybil left. And as we learned from the Orman, the diviners, when their 10 years are up, are given to the omens or to these gods as a supplement for the spring water. So, of course, Sybil sees that dead
that one's lifeless body is right there and automatically assumes that she's done what every other omen has done, and she's drinking her blood and she's had the water from the blood. But the weaver tells her, like, I stopped drinking the Sprite, the spring water, years ago. I no longer want it to be an omen, because they all have their little trinkets. Her omen, her trinket, would let her look back at her past memories, and like her memories before becoming a god. And when she remembered who she was and remembered the people of her life, it made her sick because they were all gone. They were all dead. She'd been a god for so long, so she stopped drinking the spring water, and she stopped doing everything, and that's ultimately what turned her into what she is because of the effect of the spring water. And she gives up. She in this next page that I'm actually about to talk about, page 356, she asks for Sybil to kill her because she can't do it. It's taken, what, like 300 years or however long? It's taken centuries. She can't do it. Time's not going to do it. She can't do it herself. So she tells where her trinket, her little loom stone is, and Sybil kills her in like a mercy way, because again, it wasn't a contest. It was just, let me tell you my story. However, here's where we get to something that really got to me. So she's been around, obviously, since everything started. All of the omens have been around since, not the beginning of time, but the beginning of this kingdom. And she was the one who made the robes, the silk robes, for the diviners to wear. And she is telling Sybil her story. And she's telling Sybil how everything came to be, and how she became to look how she looks. And she was talking about her weaving and everything. And she gets to talking about the gargoyles.
Okay. So she gets to talking about the gargoyles, because I don't remember how, but they get brought up. And she's talking about the fact that they're not sprites like everybody has thought. And she says that certain diviners that the abbess really liked and thought were really loyal, she would keep, and in weaning them off or keeping them from the spring water, turned them to stone and turned them into gargoyles. So yeah, so the diviners that the abbess really loved, she would turn into gargoyles. And I just want to read you this. When I became but one of her many stone creatures, an inhuman gargoyle, she coughed and dust flew, just like that first diviner I'd made a robe for. Just like that first diviner I'd made a robe for. And then she can't remember his name, because remember, diviners don't have names. And nobody ever remember, like, from all the history, nobody can remember, or nobody knows the name of the first ever diviner. So Rory and Bartholomew catch up. They're catching up to Sybil, but they don't know that she's already killed the weaver and everything, so Rory kept shouting, his voice desperate. Sybil! Bartholomew! Came the gargoyle's echoing cry. The Heartstar Weaver's breath went out. That's it. The foundling upon the Tor. The first diviner. Little Bartholomew. believe Bartholomew is the first ever diviner in this entire time? This entire time, the whole time, I feel like that. Oh my god, the whole time he's been the first diviner? And so then he tells his story because Sybil puts it all together and Bartholomew's been trying to tell her this story. And mind you, I've just been calling him Bartholomew for my own. He's gone by Gargoyle this entire time. So he tells his story of how he became to be, not only as a gargoyle, but as a first ever diviner, and as the abbess's everything, because the abbess would tell him this story and of how she came to be and of how the omens came to be and everything. So the reason that none of the diviners can remember their life before the cathedral or don't have a name is because abbess would like purposely go after dying or dead or sick changeling children because the spring water would revive them, and that's why they would just not remember anything. Spoiler warning. Hey, spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning. So, I mean, this has already been a lot of spoils, but if you really, really, really don't want to spoil, don't go past this. And the reason that it's been girls specifically is because of Bartholomew. Because at some point he started to want more than the cathedral, but he was so loyal, that's why the abbess turned him into a gargoyle. That was pretty fucking mind-blowing. Sorry for it all, he said, wiping my cheeks, but she gave me a second chance at life, though it was hardly living. My devotion to Aisling was hard to undo. I'm sorry I found you sick in a siege. I'm sorry that I brought you back to the cathedral like dozens of dead and dying girls I'd brought before. I'm sorry that upon the chancel you died. I'm sorry she made you with spring water and that you bore such loyalty for her. To live again after death is strange magic, and even stranger fate. Would that things were different, Bartholomew. Would that we had never been reborn. But if we hadn't, well, I have wondered and pondered, and now I'm for sure, for better or for worse, the rest of the story could not exist without us. And that is so beautiful. And even though he doesn't have all of his memories and he's been through hell and Lord knows what, the fact that he found himself or finally a companion or a friend, someone like him in Sybil is so perfect. Now we're gonna just absolutely forget every sweet thing that I just said, and we're gonna get angry. We're gonna get angry for a second because I need to complain about the ending. Specifically, I need to complain about Benji. Okay, guys, so do we remember how maybe about 5 minutes ago, maybe 10 minutes ago at this point, I don't know, I said he was acting weird? Right? Right. Well, he gets weirder. So, once they destroy Ainsley and the cathedral, and they get all the trinkets from the omens, and it's time to go back to the castle, Benji stabs Rory and breaks Bartholomew's wing and pushes injured Maud, to the ground and has her chunk her hammer or her axe and then takes all of the omens from them and proceeds to beg and plead Sybil to be his bride, be his queen, be a god. And when everybody kind of goes, hey, what the fuck, dude? This ain't what we talked about. Um, he basically says that they just took down everything that everybody has ever known and trusted in and had faith in. And now that they know everything from all the omens, what specifically? Let me read you what he says. That's the acknowledgement. Okay. You've known coin, knowledge, strength, intuition, love, life, and death, and beaten them at their craft. You've known everything, diviner. And to be all knowing, what is a god if not that? And he basically exiles Bartholomew, Maud, and Rory and says that if they try to come back and save Sybil at any point, they will be executed on sight. So that was really lovely to read. Like genuinely 5 stars. One of the first 5 stars I've had in a while. But yeah, we have how much on there? Okay, we have basically 15 hours. 14 hours and 51 minutes left of this challenge, which is probably going to be like another book. I was originally going to do City of Glass because that is what won the poll. I don't know if I ever mentioned this earlier, but I did a poll on Instagram to ask what books I should read, and The Night and the Moth and City of Glass won. I might just end up doing Out of the Woods, or I don't know, because after this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read another fantasy book immediately after this, but we'll see, because that is going to take me a little bit to get over. That is going to take me literally the rest of the night and the morning to get over. Hello. I'm editing this, and just The Night and the Moth alone is already an hour. So I'm gonna split this reading challenge into 2 parts because it's so long for this first book. So, welcome to the end of part 1. I'll see you guys in part 2, where I read Out of the Woods and a little bit of City of Glass.